Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, network. Welcome to the latest episode of Hiring in HD, the bite-sized content where I get to throw questions and scenarios from the hottest topics of the hiring world at some of the best team leaders and business owners that we've got in the industry today. If you agree or disagree with any of what you hear, please let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed it, give us a like, but most of all, don't be afraid to get involved in the conversations.
So a massive welcome to Nicole Thomas of CPL UK. Nicole, how are you?
Good, Chris. How are you? It's nice to see you.
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. Thanks for joining me.
Absolute pleasure. Sun's out today, so all good.
No, that's it. Yeah, wicked. If it's good with you, Nicole, we'll have a little bit of fun. It's just sort of quick fire questions and scenarios, and it'd be good to get your thoughts on it, if that's all right.
Fabulous. Go for it.
Okay, Nicole. So scenario for yourself. I've got a potential employee that would be brilliant for my business. They've got a great CV. I know they'd be a good addition to the team. But the problem is they've been late all three stages of my interview process. Should I still hire them?
Ooh, I knew you were going to ask me something like this. It's a tough one, and I think it has to be taken into context of a lot of different things because we don't ever know what people are going through on their sort of side. But it would be a massive concern for me because, if punctuality is something we value, especially with our clients, etc., somebody who's going to then turn up late for those day in and day out, be it internal meetings or client meetings, it would be a huge concern for me. Once I can handle, twice potentially, but maybe a third time would be a huge question mark.
Nicole, another question for yourself then. What do you think recruiters waste most of their time on? What's the one thing where they're most unproductive? So would it be updating the CRM, emails, LinkedIn, personal branding? What would you say they waste most time on?
Meetings. Unnecessary meetings, to be honest. I think we've seen it, and that's maybe a curse of the fact that everything's virtual now and you don't have the opportunity to sit down with each other face to face, just sort of hash out what you need to. But I have actually said to our team this week, we have to cut back on meetings because I just find we're running into unnecessary 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there, and your day gets broken up so badly that whatever you were concentrating on early on is just out the window. Yeah. So I think for me, it's meetings at the moment. Emails are always a big one because, if you don't put away focus time and email comes in, you get so distracted, you forget what you were doing again. So it's really carving out kind of focus areas and not letting anything else come in that can distract you. But meetings and emails at this stage for us have been killer in terms of taking us away from what we've needed to focus on.
Okay, Nicole. What I'd love to ask you is, what is your one pet hate when dealing with HR teams? What's the one question you get often or something that you find really frustrating?
At the moment, it's the non-responsiveness. I think just come back to us. It doesn't matter if it's good, if it's bad, if it's somewhere in between, just give us something. Again, I understand it. We're in the middle of a really difficult situation where a lot of people are juggling multiple balls, but I'm really finding the non-response quite frustrating at the moment.
Okay, Nicole. So a great scenario that we see quite a lot is the old toxic top biller. So let's say in my business, my top biller is responsible for a large part of the revenue or the income that we've got as a business. But the problem is they're making the working atmosphere really poor to the point where other consultants are sort of complaining to me about this particular top biller. They're not wanting to come into work. Let's say I've tried everything to make it a better atmosphere, but it's just not working. Do I get rid or do I keep no matter what because they're the top biller, but risk losing other people?
No, I would never sort of make a sacrifice just purely based on profit. So I think the overall happiness of the team as a whole needs to be considered. You see it often where there's top billers who come in late, they don't come to meetings, and it sets a precedent for the rest of the team. If it's purely based on numbers, I can do what I like and I don't have to respect the boundaries of the rest of the team. So ultimately, if somebody didn't want to change certain behaviors, no matter what, it would be something we'd need to look at, because I think a business works when all of the parts work, right? So if one part's failing you, eventually that's sort of the whole business is going to break up, and that's not something we'd want to do.
let's say I've got an employee in the business that's been working for me a couple of years, built up a big network on their LinkedIn, but I've been paying obviously for their premium account and their license and that kind of stuff. That employee is now leaving the business. Is that LinkedIn account theirs to take with them, or should it be mine as the business owner and what I've been paying for their premium account?
No, I think it's definitely theirs, and you'd hope that, you know, over the years that they've been with the business, that a lot of that has been brought back into your CRM, etc. So those connections are there anyway. But, you know, if it's somebody's personal brand, that, you know, LinkedIn is unfortunately as much of a personal brand, I think, as it is a business, just sort of a platform. So that's something they've worked hard to build up, and they would take that with them. You know, that's what we hope certain people bring into our businesses all the time, is their network, right? So, but all things considered, you'd hope that those sort of contacts would still be in the business in some way, form, or other.
All right, Nicole, another scenario that we've seen a couple of times lately. Let's say I've got an employee in my business just gone past their probation period by a week. That employee's come to me and asked for an 8-week trip around the world once in a lifetime and wants those 8 weeks off. What should I do? Should I allow them that or not, basically?
It's a tough one. You know, I think it's not something that would be paid for by the business. I think at the end of the day, you know, if this is somebody you want to keep, they haven't, I suppose, really got into a position yet where they wouldn't, you know, we wouldn't be able to manage the workload with them not being there. And you wouldn't want somebody to sacrifice that just for the sake of, you know, really being new to the business. So I'd say go. Tough one though, really, really tough one. Hope that never happens.
Yeah,
At least it's not happening now. No one's going anywhere, so we're good. And that's a really tough one. I wouldn't want to take that away from anybody. And I think early days is probably easier to manage because they're still very much in that infancy of taking over a lot of the accounts, etc. So it might be easier sooner rather than later, I would think.
Okay, Nicole. So last question then, which we ask everyone that comes onto the show. You're just about to start a new business venture, and you are allowed any business partner you like, past or present, any walk of life. Who would you pick?
Oof. I think when you're starting a business venture, trust is probably the most important part of that, because if you don't trust the people you work with, I think it would be a terrible thing. So it would probably be the people I know. So, you know, I'm working with Effie now. I've worked with him for a number of years. So there's definitely that level of trust. I know how he does things, or we've done it before together. I've got a couple of friends in recruitment. So it would probably likely be somebody I already know, because there's that level of trust and understanding of the way each other works, the way each other thinks. I think coming in with a total stranger can be totally rewarding because you're bringing in that different sort of way of thinking, but I think sometimes that's really tough because you don't know what you're getting really, and just now, just doesn't work. So yeah, definitely somebody I know.
Nicole, thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate you coming on. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was lots of fun. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming on. Guys that have watched this, thank you for watching. If you agree or disagree, as we said before, please let us know down in the comments. Get in touch with myself or Nicole if you have got any thoughts. But yeah, thank you very much, Nicole.
Thanks so much. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.